Hi, Dave Jeffers here, founder and president of Aletheia Group LLC and the author of Understanding Evangelicals, A Guide to Jesus Land, where we're 6 hours from 2011 coming to an end and 2012 just around the corner, and the presidential elections. In fact, in less than 72 hours, our friends up in Iowa, the Republican Iowa caucuses will be being held on Tuesday, January 3rd, and they will select their choice for the Republican nomination. 4 weeks from there, we will, in Florida, be selecting our president, our nominee in the Republican presidential primary. And because of that, I've decided to, after much thought, much prayer, and much counsel, to come out and endorse a candidate before the year ends. Because I want us to get a head start, and I want us to think about things, and I want to be able to give people a chance to question me and be transparent as to why I selected Newt. I'll offer some publication up to you that you can read, a newsletter I wrote a couple weeks back, and that will help you come to understand how I came to this decision. But also, I'm going to give you a little bit of it here in this brief video, and then also we'll answer any of your emails, your questions you might have. As I see it right now, we have an issue of the law. The law being attacked within our country internally, and the attack of a different law on our country externally. And of all the candidates that I have looked at, only one understands both of those threats clearly and how to address it. And that person is Newt Gingrich. We had some great candidates, probably the best crop of candidates that we've had in my lifetime. And I love Michelle Bachmann. She's a wonderful, godly woman, a great, strong conservative representative in Congress. I just didn't see that she was up to the job. Same with Rick Perry. I just didn't get a confidence in him that he could do the job, the difficult job. These are not normal times that we are facing, ladies and gentlemen. You know that. This is by far the most important election that we are facing in our lifetimes. And I just didn't get that sense that Rick Perry would be able to meet the task. I think that he has great potential, but at this time, I don't see that. Ron Paul, a strong man, a strong Christian man, a godly man, great ideas on the economy, on the Constitution, but his foreign policy is just unacceptable to me. I had this conversation with his son Rand back in 2007. I just told him, I don't think your father understands the threat radical Islam is to our nation and to freedom and liberty. Rick Santorum is strong. He understands a lot about the threat, and he's a strong candidate. A great guy. I was torn between him and Newt Gingrich. Those were what I came down to with the two. And in the end, I decided that Newt Gingrich, even with all the baggage that he has, and I address this in the newsletter that I'm going to have a link to at the bottom of this video that you'll be able to go to and download. I've addressed those issues about what do we do about a man's baggage? Can a man be forgiven enough to the point that we can trust him? Is the road to redemption always open to whomever? Or do we get to decide as Christians who is and who isn't actually repentant enough to be our leader? But the rule of law that is at attack in our nation right now is coming from the judiciary. Everything that's gone wrong in our nation in the last 50 years that we as Christians are fighting, whether it be school prayer, separation of church and state, tax on Christmas, our graduation processions, or our graduation ceremonies where we can't use the word God, all of this stuff that's happened in our country, Roe v. Wade, abortion, everything that has happened through the courts. It is a clear and direct attempt, and in many ways a successful attempt, to secularize our nation, which that is not what happened. That was not how our nation was founded. You go to my website, you download Do Politics and Religion Mix. You just have to register and get a free copy, and I show you clearly that we were to be a country of morals and a country of values and a country of virtue. John Adams said that we are a country of laws, not of men. And we have become a country of men where a few men can decide, we don't like what the Congress has passed. We don't like what the majority of the people do. So we're going to go to the courts, and we're going to let the courts pass the law. Well, there's something wrong with that. Thomas Jefferson said that nothing in the Constitution has given them, speaking of the courts, has given them a right to decide for the executive more than to the executive to decide for them. In other words, the executive can't decide for the judiciary. Judiciary can't decide for the executive. But the given opinion, which gives to the judge the right to decide what laws are constitutional and what not only for themselves in their own spheres of action, but for the legislature and executive also in their spheres, would make the judiciary a despotic branch. Thomas Jefferson said that. That's where we are. We have despots ruling from the bench. And in Federal 78, Alexander Hamilton wrote, whoever attentively considers the different apartments of power must perceive that in a government in which they are separated from each other, the judiciary, from the nature of its functions, will always be the least dangerous to the political rights of the Constitution because it will be the least in capacity to annoy or injure them. That is not the case today. And Newt Gingrich has outlined this clearly and has come up with ways to address this. You go to his website, you can read on the issues page in newt.org. It will explain clearly what that is. So that's how we need to address the attack on our laws within the country. Now, the attack that we are getting from a different type of law externally is Sharia law. And clearly, Newt Gingrich, Rick Santorum is very strong on this too, but Newt Gingrich understands the threat that radical Islam is. He says that we have been lying to ourselves as a nation. Well, friends, Sharia law is already making its way into our country now, and we cannot have that. We don't have time to get the right judges on the courts. We don't have time to get the right people just in Congress. We need somebody to lead the way. And Newt Gingrich is that person. So I am gladly endorsing Newt Gingrich for president. And I encourage you to download the newsletter. It's a copy of a newsletter that only my subscribers get. And I hope that you will subscribe to our newsletter, The Truth, and join the Truth Watch at Aletheia Group. But I want you to read that and really think about it and understand this is how I came to the decision that I believe I can support Newt Gingrich even with all the baggage that he has. Thanks for the time. May God bless you. May we have a wonderful 2012. I'm excited about what God has in store for us. And America, always remember, bless God.